It's shaping up to be an interesting election night in Connecticut. Hillary Clinton carried it easily 2 years ago, but President Trump is more popular than the current Democratic governor. And a new poll shows the race to replace Governor Dan Malloy is a dead heat. CBS 2's Tony Aiello reports.
The signs point to a neck-and-neck race. Democrat Ned Lamont, Republican Bob Stefanowski, statistically tied in the most recent poll from Sacred Heart University.
The majority of women are going for Lamont. The majority of men are going for Stefanowski.
At Western Connecticut State University, political scientist Christopher Cook believes Lamont has the edge, but considers the race basically a toss-up. Surprising in a so-called blue state. Connecticut's 2 U.S. senators are among the most ferocious critics of President Trump. And there are far more registered Democrats here than Republicans. In debates, Stefanowski treads carefully when it comes to the president.
I like his economic policy, Dennis.
Mr. Lamont. He does not reflect Connecticut values one iota. I think he's wrong. I give him an F.
But as unpopular as the president may be, he still polls better in Connecticut than retiring Democratic Governor Dan Malloy, who is radioactive to Ned Lamont.
And what grade would you give Governor Malloy?
When it comes to solving the fiscal crisis, an F.
You got to give him an F, and Ned Lamont's going to continue the economic policy.
The race may be decided on pocketbook issues. Connecticut taxes are high, taxpayers are stressed.
I really believe it's taxes, taxes, and taxes, because it's going to hit close to your pocket.
Stefanowski wants to phase out the state income tax. Lamont says that would make property taxes skyrocket. The poll indicates Connecticut voters are pretty much split over who's best qualified to fix the fiscal mess. Tony Aiello, CBS 2 News.
Well, here's the question. Daniel Malloy, the present governor, who is probably one of the most unpopular people in politics in the entire United States. He has a favorable rating of 20%. And I should point out that 1924 was the last time an outgoing governor was succeeded by somebody from the same political party. Having said that, can Ned Lamont overcome the Republican, or is the Republican going to pull it out? The most recent poll shows that the Republican is ahead by just 2 points, which is so close in the margin of error.
It means that Lamont can be ahead as well.
So,
yeah, I mean, given numbers like that, Lamont certainly can. You know, there's energy on the Democratic side in Connecticut as well as around the country. It really depends on what he's got in the tank. You know, in terms of money and manpower and a closing message. This is a place where the outgoing governor, Malloy, may cancel out the animosity against President Trump. I mean, they X each other out.
Decide who they don't like the most?
Well, no, I think that because there are people on one side who can't stand Donald Trump and people on the other side, maybe even more, who can't stand Dan Malloy, this is going to be decided on local, statewide issues, as the fellow said in the package, taxes, 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 or other issues that people care about in their own community.
But, you know, Connecticut is a state where, believe it or not, the majority of the voters are actually independent. And so, and there's an independent in this race who actually, in the poll that has them neck and neck, gets 9 points. So really, independents here are in the driver's seat. So what do these candidates have to do to get independents to move over to their side?
Well, given Connecticut's voting record in any number of elections, it's pretty fair to say that the majority of independents are Democratic-leaning in most races. The question is whether Stefanowski can get them to say, you know, we tried a Democratic governor, didn't work. Let's go back to what we've been doing. It's one of those blue states like Massachusetts that somehow keeps electing Republican governors. And that's probably history. It's history versus energy against Trump.
Okay, well, we've heard this talk in the election cycle of a blue wave, a red wave, even a pink wave. We'll sort it all out when we come back.